So thank you very much for joining us. We're going to make this very, very short and very, very sweet. My name is Robert Breton. I'm 43 years old. I've been working in IT for about 20 years. Big companies like, excuse me, I apologize. Companies like IBM, Oracle, Cisco, those kind of sort of large corporate American IT companies where I've done some amazing projects. But what I was missing in my life was some creativity. So we saw virtual reality come obviously about 10 years ago, actually 20 years ago. In the last 2 years, I've been getting more and more interest in virtual reality and augmented reality. Now we're calling it mixed reality. But anyway, it's obviously the technology where you put on these head-mounted devices and you're transported into either a computer graphed imaged world, right, in CGI, or in 360-degree cameras, right? So that's what virtual reality is all about, and augmented reality. And I was missing in my life some creativity. So the art, the passion, and things we can actually do with visualization. So virtual reality is really extension of the internet, right, and the Internet of Things. Like typically like the internet, you know, usually it's gaming, pornography, sports, gambling. Those are the kind of things that typically are used for in the internet, especially in the beginning. It's the same with virtual reality. But we thought we would do something else, and we started in medical, right? So how to save lives. We thought we'd contribute to visualization, and in fact, the medical world has a lot to do about visualization, a lot of visualization, MRI scans, PET scans, that kind of thing. So what we're doing, we've started a program with the Erasmus Medical Center, and we're going to actually beat cancer with virtual reality. And how we're going to do that? We created a team. Clemens Lowick, Laura Mezzanotte. Laura Mezzanotte is actually the creator, the inventor of using fireflies, and what fireflies produce is the fluorescence. So using fluorescence from fireflies to actually be able to image cells in your body and streams, right? So we're actually using that visualization, and we're going to build that into virtual reality. The doctors can actually see 3D of a particular area and render that imaging localized, right? So they can have a 3D representation of a particular problem area in your body. This is the team we've put together. Quickly about the VR Appstore, which is my company, vrappstore.com. We basically have 3 areas. We have a studio, which is actually based here on the VR base, where we do cinematic VR or VR experiences to a particular purpose. We have the creators platform, so we're actually creating a platform where VR developers can build objects in virtual reality, maybe beehive, work together, meet each other, and depending on the demand that they have from companies or the general public, build things together. And we have the actual app store where you can purchase things, right? Whatever you want to have in virtual reality. So this is something we're actually in process of making. This is already a reality, and these 2 things we're in the process of making. We started it in November of last year, so we're very fresh. We're part of the VR base. So we teamed up with Erasmus MC and Clemens Lowick, whose name you saw earlier, is actually one of the world's leading visual professional, excuse me. And he's done an amazing work, especially, for instance, with these fireflies. But he's doing advanced research in cameras where they can actually, from exterior, go 5 centimeters into your body and actually give like the representation of what's going on inside your body. So we're going to build that into augmented reality so the doctors can put on visors and see an overlay of what's actually happening underneath. Because right now we're actually in the dark ages. If there is a cancerous cell, for instance, in your arm, what they currently do is you open you up and it's a bloody mess. That's how we currently do it. So we're obviously helping them go to this. So we've got a 10-year vision that we've determined, which includes diagnosis, treatment, image-guided surgery, and universal adoption. The vision in diagnosis, these are statements that he's made, Clemens and his team, and Erasmus MC itself. So they want to be able to, within 48 hours, determine your first treatment. 0% non-responding patients, no morbidity, 0 loss of valuable treatment time, 100% accurate detection of trauma, and actually this can be further than cancer. It can actually be for heart, head, and the exact location. So this is actually leapfrogging technology. The vision on treatment, targeted therapy, using nanotechnology and necrosis, the process of dying cells, to actually target, for instance, cancer cells and initiate their destruction of themselves. Image-guided surgery, that's the future. So we're going to be contributing to robotic surgery, laser-guided surgery, so that the laser, for instance, will turn on exactly where it needs to and turn off. It's a bit of a scary thought that you wouldn't have a human intervention. So we have the idea that the doctor will be able to perform the surgery in virtual reality, and then the robot actually exercises it. So you have some form of human intervention. I'm okay with the robot, not everybody is. Universal adoption is, of course, a huge issue. There are medical solutions that we're not even using today because of big pharma, for instance. So there's this is a 10-year program that's going to get very much into stakeholder engagement and how these big pharma will be able to contribute to this. These are the objectives of the program, so diagnosis, treatment, image-guided surgery, and universal adoption. And we are defining what these things will be. So we imagine that virtual reality, and of course also augmented reality, will be able to contribute in these ways. So educational purposes, for marketing purposes, for clinical diagnosis, interactive guided surgery, and for actually treated surgery itself. So that's a program we've kicked off. We're very proud of it. It's going to be a long haul and a hard work, but we're really happy to be part of the VR base here and actually see that something that's coming out of the gaming industry is being used to actually save lives and do something of value. So on that note, we thought for this Makers Festival, so that's just the end of my presentation. I thought you'd be interested to hear some of the actual adoptions that we're doing and what we're using virtual reality for other than gaming, right? It's not all about shooting games and what have you, but it's actually doing something beautiful and contributing something serious to the world. But for the Makers Festival, we thought we would also pose some questions. So we actually put together what's called a Vrackathon, a VR hackathon, Vrackathon. And we asked 2 weeks ago, just through Meetup and social media, people to contribute to the idea of how we can use virtual reality to beat violence. So we thought, throw the idea out there, see what happens. And actually, it's been really, really interesting. We've had huge press coverage. Yesterday was a room full of people, kids coming up, trying out virtual reality, throwing out ideas on the board. We've had 2 teams formed today, and we're going to have one team member actually present one of the ideas that's come up. We've actually had 3 really, really awesome ideas that we're actually going to be building between now, this weekend, and in November. November 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th is the VR Days Europe. It's another virtual reality festival. So we're actually going to be building the concepts that are thought of this weekend. We'll build them into virtual reality. And I've asked one of the team members to present one of the thoughts, because I thought you guys be interested in that. So that's basically what I had to say. Any questions? So we have both, you mean for this program? Yeah, for this program we have both public funding and private funding. So it's a combination of European funding that we've put in. We put in the first trough 2 weeks ago for 2.5 million from the European Union. And then we have a private funding from a company that we work with called Cortag. And they've acquired the first round of funding of, I think it was 7 million. So we're going to do it in stages. Any other questions? Thoughts, contributions? Interesting? Yeah, right? Yeah, we thought so.
I came here to experience some virtual reality.
Yeah.
Is it going to happen?
Yeah, it is. You're coming with me after this talk, and we're going to walk to the other area where we have a setup. We've got actually 3 virtual reality stations where you can try it out. You're more than welcome. Absolutely. Yeah? Yeah, you're welcome. No? Any other thoughts, questions? Okay. Oh no, it's fine. Well, yeah. So basically, we're doing. Yeah, it's a lot to process.
Well, it just talks a lot.
So basically, this is what we're doing with virtual reality. So we're doing diagnosis and treatment of cancer cells initially by using necrosis, which is you can kickstart off with nanotechnology, the dying of cells. So you can actually target cancerous cells to die. And to visualize that, we're using virtual reality. It's a lot. So I kind of wanted to keep it simple, but there's a lot of imaging actually in the medical world. So we thought medicine would be a perfect place to play with virtual reality, right? Yeah. So without further ado,
Okay, thank you very much. Cool to be here and represent my group. Oh, okay, let me. So just to give you an idea of who I am, maybe I'm and who is participating in this hackathon, VR hackathon. I'm an artist, and I have a project on the simulation of psychosis and how to better understand it for mental health care professionals. And our cool group has this idea of creating maybe a form of digital self-harm. Because when we thought about violence in the Western society, what is violence? And we thought about self-harm, violence towards the self. It only takes a single act of self-harm to potentially leave a lifelong scar on your body. So we're thinking about an exposure simulation tool for recovery of self-harm or breaking the ultimate taboo. So self-harm, people actually harm themselves again one more time with a tattoo and to remind themselves to be a fighter and that there are survivors. Who self-harms? It's thought that around 13% of young people may try to hurt themselves on purpose at some point between the ages of 11 and 16. Those numbers are a lot higher. I apologize for the sketchy presentation, but this was from an hour ago. We're trying to be quick about getting an idea together. But harming is a method of coping with difficult emotions, and people often find that the immediate relief self-harm seems to bring is usually quickly replaced by an even greater sense of distress. It's only through talking about and understanding the emotions involved that the need to self-harm can be reduced and eventually taken away. So that's why we want to create a simulated self-harm. Think of your own arm, a mixed reality experience, your own arm with a fabric around it that provides haptic feedback. You would look at your arm through virtual reality and self-harm yourself with different levels of pain, but you would not have scars. So we don't want real scars, we want simulated scars. And of course, this is a very fresh idea, so we need important research questions. First of all, can we simulate self-harm? Can we create virtual scars and not real ones? Can we gain more insight into the self-harm process? Can we break the addictive nature of self-harm? So apparently there's an addictive nature to it. Is it offensive to want to do this? Is it useful? It's important to then start this project with people who have experience with self-harm and want to share, and how then such an object needs to be designed, or such an experience. But who is it for? Well, we're thinking about client-patient therapist relations, exposure therapy, conversation tool, rehab, that you have a recording of your process of simulated self-harm, and you can discuss moments of hesitation and feelings while you're doing it with your therapist. But also maybe friends and family and professionals who want to better understand self-harm. Just ideas that we can, it's just an hour's work, or 2 hours work, but this is what we're doing. We have other cool ideas, like design your own shrine, where you can remember violence publicly or privately in your own backyard. Or what was the other one? A currency that can show how violent a corporation or company is, so that you have your own euro. And augmented reality can show how bloody your own euro is if you want to go shop there or shop there. So those are our 3 ideas from this group. And I'm happy to present them to you.